The alarm bells rang across the Earth Defense Station. Red lights flashed in every corridor. Admiral Hana Kim walked calmly to the command deck, her boots clicking on the metal floor. She had been expecting this day for years. "Admiral, we have 300 alien ships at the edge of our solar system," Lieutenant Daypark called out from his communications station. His voice was steady, but his hands shook slightly as he worked the controls. Hana nodded and looked at the main screen. The alien fleet was massive. Each ship was 10 times larger than Earth's biggest space station. They looked like dark metal mountains floating in space, covered with weapons and strange glowing lights. "Any message from them?" Hana asked. "Yes, Admiral. It's coming through now." The screen flickered. A huge creature appeared on it. The alien had 4 arms and skin like black stone. Its eyes glowed red, and sharp teeth filled its mouth. When it spoke, its voice sounded like rocks grinding. "Together, primitive humans," the creature said. "I am War Commander Vorthak of the Hegemony Fleet. Your world is now under our control. Surrender immediately, or we will destroy every living thing on your planet. You have 1 hour to respond." The message ended. The command deck was quiet for a moment. Everyone looked at Admiral Hana Kim, waiting for her orders. Hana smiled. "That's it?" she asked. "That's their big, scary speech?" Captain Tae Shin, the tactical officer, stared at her. "Admiral, they have 300 warships. Our entire defense fleet has only 50 ships." "I heard them," Hana said. She walked to the communications console. "Day, open a channel to the alien fleet." "Channel open, Admiral." Hana straightened her uniform and looked at the camera. When she spoke, her voice was warm and friendly. "War Commander Vorthak, this is Admiral Hana Kim of the Earth Defense Force. Thank you for coming such a long way to visit us. We don't get many visitors from other star systems." She paused and smiled again. "We received your message, but I think there might be some confusion. You see, we're not really the surrendering type, but we are very good at making friends. Would you and your officers like to come aboard our station for dinner? Our chef makes excellent food, and we'd love to learn about your culture." The screen was quiet for several minutes. Then Vorthak's face appeared again. He looked confused and angry. "This is not a social visit, human. This is conquest. You will surrender or die." "I understand you might be hungry after such a long trip," Hana replied. "Space travel can be tiring. We have comfortable rooms and hot meals ready for you. Just let us know how many of your people would like to visit." "You mock us," Vorthak roared. "We are the masters of 1,000 worlds. We have destroyed entire civilizations." "That sounds terrible," Hana said, and she actually looked sad. "All those people who never got the chance to be friends. We'd like to change that, starting with you. The invitation stands, Commander. Dinner is in 2 hours." She made a signal to Day, who cut the communication. The command deck was silent. Everyone stared at their admiral. "Admiral," Captain Tae Shin said carefully, "are you sure about this? They could kill you the moment you're in the same room." "They could try," Hana said, "but I don't think they will. Day, send a message to all stations. Tell them to prepare the welcome protocols." "The welcome protocols?" Day repeated, "but those are for friendly visits." "Exactly." Lieutenant Daypark sent the message. Across the station, people began preparing. The kitchen staff started cooking food. The security teams put away their weapons and put on their dress uniforms. The medical bay prepared rooms with different atmospheres in case the aliens needed special air to breathe. Dr. Bin Lee, the station's xenobiologist, hurried to his lab. He had been studying alien biology for years, waiting for first contact. Now he had to figure out what these creatures could safely eat. In the kitchen, Chef Nari Choi read Dr. Lee's report and started planning the menu. She had practiced cooking for aliens many times, but this was the real thing. "Admiral," Captain Tae Shin said, "what if this is a trap? What if they're just trying to get our defenses down?" "Then we'll deal with that when it happens," Hana said. "But I don't think it is. Do you know what I see when I look at that alien commander? A terrifying monster with enough firepower to glass our planet? I see someone who's very far from home, doing a job he probably doesn't enjoy, following orders from people who think fear is the only way to get things done." Hana walked to the big window that looked out at Earth. "I see someone who's never been invited to dinner just because someone wanted to be nice to them." 1 hour later, a small alien ship approached the station. It was still huge compared to human ships, but tiny next to the alien fleet. The ship docked carefully at the stations. Mainport Hana Kim waited in the docking bay with a small group of officers. They wore their best uniforms but carried no weapons. When the airlock opened, 6 aliens walked through. War Commander Vorthak was even bigger in person. He was 3 meters tall, and his 4 arms ended in hands that could easily crush a human. Skull. The other aliens were almost as large and just as frightening. "Welcome to Earth Defense Station Alpha," Hana said with a bow. "I'm Admiral Hana Kim. Thank you for accepting our invitation." Vorthak looked around the docking bay. His red eyes searched for hidden weapons or traps. He found none. The humans stood calmly, smiling at their visitors. "Where are your guards?" Vorthak demanded. "Your weapons? We don't need them," Hana said. "You're our guests." "We are your conquerors." "You're our guests," Hana repeated gently. "Would you like to see your rooms first, or would you prefer to eat right away? The dining room has a beautiful view of Earth." For a moment, Vorthak said nothing. In all his years of conquest, no one had ever offered him a meal. No one had ever called him a guest. No one had ever smiled at him without fear or hate. "This is some kind of trick," he said finally. "No trick," Hana said. "Just dinner. Come on, I'll show you the way." She turned and walked toward the dining room. After a moment of confusion, the aliens followed her. As they walked through the station, they passed human crew members who nodded politely and said hello. Children from the families who lived on the station waved from behind safety glass. An old man playing chess looked up and smiled. "These people know we could kill them all," one of the aliens whispered to Vorthak. "Yes," Vorthak replied. "And they act like we're old friends." The dining room was beautiful. Large windows showed Earth turning slowly below them. The table was set with the station's best dishes and glasses. The food smelled wonderful. "Please, sit wherever you'd like," Hana said. Vorthak sat down slowly, still watching for traps. The other aliens did the same. Human officers sat with them, making polite conversation about the journey and the weather on Earth. Chef Nari Choi brought out the first course personally. "I hope you like it," she said to Vorthak. "Dr. Lee helped me make sure it's safe for your species to eat." Vorthak stared at the food, then at the chef, then at Admiral Kim. "Why?" he asked finally. "Why are you doing this?" Hana Kim smiled and picked up her glass of water. "Because," she said, "everyone deserves a good meal and a chance to make friends." War Commander Vorthak stared at the food in front of him. The plate was beautiful, made of white ceramic with gold edges. The food looked strange but smelled good. His officers sat around the table, all watching him for orders. "It's safe to eat," Dr. Bin Lee said from across the table. He was a small human with kind eyes and gray hair. I studied your species biology from your ship's communication signals. This dish has the proteins and minerals your body needs. You studied our biology? Vorthak's second-in-command, Sub-Commander Grakthan, reached for his weapon. To make sure we could feed you properly, Dr. Lee said calmly. We didn't want to accidentally poison our guests. Admiral Hannah Kim picked up her fork and took a bite of her own food. Nari outdid herself tonight, she said to Chef Nari Choi, who stood near the kitchen door. This is delicious. Nari Choi bowed slightly. Thank you, Admiral. I tried to make something that would taste good to both humans and our new friends. Vorthak looked around the dining room. The walls were covered with art from Earth. There were paintings of mountains and oceans, photographs of cities and forests, and sculptures made from metal and stone. Soft music played in the background. This is not how conquest works, Vorthak said finally. We're not being conquered, said Captain Min Ko, who sat next to him. We're having dinner. Same thing, Sub-Commander Grakthan muttered. Captain Min Ko laughed. Not at all. When we have problems on Earth, we usually solve them by sitting down, together, and talking. Sometimes we eat while we talk. It's amazing how much you can work out over a good meal. Vorthak took a small bite of the food. It was actually very good, better than the food on his ship. He took another bite. This is excellent, he admitted. Chef Nari Choi smiled. I'm so glad you like it. I made it with spices from 7 different countries on Earth. Each culture adds something special to make food taste better. 7 countries? Asked another alien officer. How many countries do you have? About 200, said Lieutenant Daypark. Each one is different. Different languages, different foods, different customs. But we all live on the same planet, so we learn to get along. 200 different groups on one world? Sub-Commander. Grakthan looked shocked. How do you keep them from fighting? Oh, we fought for thousands of years, Captain Min Ko said cheerfully. Terrible wars. Millions of people died. But eventually we figured out that working together was much better than fighting. You chose to stop fighting? Vorthak asked. With 200 different groups? It took a long time, Admiral Hannah Kim said, and we still disagree about things. But we learned that most problems can be solved without violence. Trade works better than war. Sharing ideas works better than stealing them. Chef Nari Choi brought out the second course. It was a soup that smelled like flowers and tasted like sunshine. The aliens tried it carefully, then more eagerly. This is wonderful, Vorthak said. What is it made from? Vegetables from my grandmother's garden, Nari said. She taught me this recipe when I was little. She always said that food made with love tastes better. Love? Asked an alien officer. What does love have to do with food? Everything, Nari replied. When you care about the people you're feeding, you work harder to make something good for them. Dr. Bin Lee leaned forward. Tell us about your worlds, he said. What are they like? The aliens looked at each other uncertainly. Our worlds serve the hegemony, Sub-Commander Grakthan said carefully. They provide resources for the fleet. But what are they like? Dr. Lee asked. Are they beautiful? Do they have oceans? Mountains? What kind of art do your people make? Art? Vorthak seemed confused by the question. Like these paintings, Dr. Lee pointed to the walls. Or music, or stories, or sculptures. Things that make life more beautiful. We don't have time for such things, Vorthak said. We have quotas to meet, resources to gather, worlds to conquer. The humans looked sad at this. That sounds lonely, Nari Choi said gently. Lonely? Sub-Commander Gracthan's voice was sharp. We are the mighty hegemony. We are feared across the galaxy. But are you happy? Asked Captain Min Ko. The aliens went quiet. It was not a question they were used to hearing. Chef Nari Choi brought out the main course. It was a dish that looked like art on the plate, with colors arranged in beautiful patterns. The aliens stared at it. It's too beautiful to eat, one of them said. Beauty is meant to be enjoyed, Admiral Hana Kim said. That's why we make it. As they ate, the humans asked more questions. What did the aliens do when they weren't working? What made them laugh? What were their families like? The aliens answered slowly at first, then more freely. They talked about their homeworlds, their children, their dreams. Vorthak spoke about a garden he remembered from his childhood before he joined the military. I had forgotten about that garden, he said quietly. There were flowers that bloomed only at night. They glowed like stars. That sounds beautiful, Dr. Binley said. Do you ever go back to see it? No. Soldiers of the hegemony do not return home until their service is complete. When will your service be complete? Asked Captain Min Ko. When the galaxy is conquered, Vorthak said. Then he frowned. I have never thought about what happens after that. For dessert, Chef Nari Choi brought out something that looked like edible jewelry. It was made from fruits and sweets arranged to look like flowers and stars. This represents Earth's solar system, she explained. Each piece is a different planet. The center one is Earth. The aliens ate the dessert slowly, savoring each bite. Why are you doing this? Vorthak asked finally. Your world is about to be conquered. Your people will become slaves. Why are you feeding us and treating us with kindness? Admiral Hana Kim set down her spoon and looked at him directly. Because your people, she said simply. You're far from home, doing a difficult job. You probably haven't had a good meal, or a kind word in a long time. Everyone deserves both of those things. But we are your enemies. You don't have to be. The hegemony conquers worlds. That is what we do. But is that what you want to do? Captain Min Ko asked. If you could choose anything, would you choose to hurt people? Vorthak was quiet for a long time. His officers watched him, waiting for an answer. I don't know, he said finally. I have never been asked that question. Well, Admiral Hana, Kim said, standing up from the table. Maybe that's a good place to start. Would you like to stay the night? We have comfortable guest rooms, and tomorrow we could show you more of our station. You could see how we live when we're not being conquered. You want us to stay? Sub-Commander Gracthan asked. We could take your entire station hostage. You could try, Hana said with a smile. But I think you'd rather have breakfast. Nari makes amazing pancakes. Vorthak looked at his officers, then back at the humans. One night, he said. We will stay one night. As the aliens were shown to their rooms, they passed windows that looked out at Earth. The planet turned slowly below them, blue and green, and beautiful. City lights sparkled like diamonds. It's so peaceful, one alien whispered. Yes, Vorthak replied. It is. That night, for the first time in many years, War Commander Vorthak fell asleep without checking his weapons or planning an attack. Instead, he dreamed of glowing flowers in a garden he had almost forgotten. War Commander Vorthak woke up confused. The bed was soft and warm. The room smelled like flowers. For a moment, he couldn't remember where he was. Then he remembered. He was on a human space station. He was supposed to be conquering these people, not sleeping in their guest rooms. A soft chime sounded. A gentle voice spoke from the wall. "Good morning, Commander Vorthak. Breakfast will be ready in 1 hour if you're hungry. If you need anything, just ask." Vorthak got up and looked out the window. Earth was still there, turning slowly below. His fleet was still in position around the solar system. But something felt different. When he left his room, he found his officers in the hallway. They all looked as confused as he felt. "Commander," Subcommander Gracthen said quietly, "this is not normal conquest behavior." "No," Vorthak agreed. "It is not." Admiral Hana Kim met them at the dining room. She wore a clean uniform and smiled like she was greeting old friends. "Good morning. Did you sleep well?" "Yes," Vorthak said, and was surprised to realize it was true. "Very well." Breakfast was as good as dinner had been. Chef Nari Choi had made something she called pancakes, along with fruits and drinks that tasted like sunshine. "We thought you might like to see more of our station today," Admiral Kim said, as they ate. "If you're not in a hurry to get back to conquering us, that is." "We would like to see your military installations," Vorthak said carefully. "Of course," Admiral Kim said. "Engineer Wu Jiang will give you the complete tour. He loves showing off our technology." Engineer Wu Jiang was a cheerful man with oil-stained hands and bright eyes. He met them after breakfast. "Welcome to our engineering section," he said happily. "These are our main power generators, our defensive systems, our communication arrays, and our life support systems. Would you like to see how they work?" Vorthak stared at him. "You are showing us your defensive systems." "Why not?" Engineer Wu Jiang asked. "You seem interested in technology. These systems are pretty clever, if I do say so myself." He led them through the station, explaining everything. The fusion reactors that powered the station, the shield generators that could stop almost any weapon, the sensor arrays that could detect ships from dozens of star systems away. "This is incredible," one of Vorthak's officers whispered. "Their technology is more advanced than ours." "Yes," Engineer Wu Jiang said, overhearing. "We've had some good ideas over the years. Would you like to see our manufacturing bay? We can build almost anything there." The manufacturing bay was huge. Robots and humans worked together, building ship parts and station components. Everything was clean and efficient. "You could build weapons here," Sub-Commander Gracthen said. "We could," Engineer Wu Jiang agreed. "But we prefer to build things that help people, like these medical scanners we're sending to the colonies, or these new recycling systems for the Mars stations." After the engineering tour, Commander Sol Han showed them the recreational areas of the station. There were parks with real trees and grass. There were sports facilities where people played games in low gravity. There were theaters and libraries and art studios. "This is what we do when we're not working," Commander Sol Han explained. "We play music. We write stories. We paint pictures. We play games and laugh with our friends." The aliens watched humans floating in the zero-gravity sports arena, chasing a glowing ball and laughing when they missed. "They are having fun while floating in deadly vacuum," one alien officer said in amazement. "The chamber is perfectly safe," Commander Sol Han said. "We engineered it so people could play without worry. Fun is important. It makes people happy, and happy people work better together." They visited the school where human children learned about math and science and art. The children waved at the scary alien visitors and asked if they wanted to see their drawings. These small humans are not afraid of us, Vorthak observed. Why? Would they be afraid? Asked a little girl named Sue. You're just visiting, like my grandparents do. In the afternoon, they visited the medical bay. Dr. Araceo showed them around. This is where we take care of people who get hurt or sick, she explained. We can fix almost anything. Broken bones, diseases, even some injuries that would normally be fatal. You could also study alien biology here, Subcommander Gracthen said suspiciously. Learn our weaknesses. We could, Dr. Seo agreed. But we'd rather learn how to help you if you get sick or injured. That's what doctors do. We help people feel better. As the day went on, Vorthak became more and more frustrated. Every human they met was kind and helpful. Everyone showed them exactly what they wanted to see. No one seemed afraid. No one tried to hide anything. This is wrong, he told Admiral Kim when they returned to the dining room for lunch. You should be terrified. You should be begging for mercy. You should be offering us tribute. Why? Admiral Kim asked, genuinely curious. Because we are here to conquer you. But you're not conquering us, Admiral Kim pointed out. You're having lunch with us. We could conquer you? Maybe, Admiral Kim said. But you're not. You're asking questions about our art and saying our food is delicious. At that moment, Maintenance Chief Ray Lim approached their table. She was a small woman with calloused hands and a friendly smile. Excuse me, she said to Vorthak, but I noticed you seem very stressed. Are you feeling okay? Vorthak stared at her. This tiny human was asking about his feelings. I am a war commander of the Hegemony Fleet, he said in his most threatening voice. I have destroyed entire civilizations. I could order my ships to kill everyone on this planet, including your family. Ray Lim looked concerned. That sounds like a terrible burden to carry, she said gently. Having to hurt so many people must make you very sad inside. Do you want to talk about what's bothering you? Vorthak's four arms dropped to his sides. In all his years of conquest, no one had ever asked if he was sad. No one had ever offered to listen to his problems. I don't understand you people, he said finally. What don't you understand? Ray Lim asked, sitting down at the table. We are your enemies. We came here to destroy your world. Why are you being kind to us? Because you're people, Ray Lim said simply, and you seem like you need some kindness. But we are dangerous. So are thunderstorms, Ray Lim replied. But sometimes after a storm, you get a beautiful rainbow. Maybe you just need a chance to show us your rainbow. That evening, the aliens sat in the station's observation lounge, looking out at the stars. The humans had given them space to think and talk among themselves. They are not what we expected, Subcommander Gracthen said finally. No, Vorthak agreed. They are not. Their technology is more advanced than ours. Yes. Their defenses are stronger than ours. Yes. But they feed us and show us kindness. Yes. The aliens sat in silence for a while, watching Earth turn below them. Commander, one of his officers said quietly, what if they are right? Right about what? What if there is a better way than conquest? Vorthak looked at his officer, then back at the blue planet below. I don't know, he said honestly. I have never considered any other way. Neither have I. Subcommander Gracthen said. But these humans, they seem happy. They create beautiful things. They care about each other. They offered to help us if we got sick, another officer added. No one has ever done that before. And Their food is really, really good, said the youngest officer. Despite everything, Vorthak almost smiled at that. Yes, he said. It is. Admiral Hana Kim found them there an hour later. How are you doing? She asked. This must be a lot to think about. It is, Vorthak admitted. We are trained for conquest. We know how to handle fear and hatred and resistance, but kindness is something new. It takes practice, Admiral Kim said. We weren't always good at it either, but we learned that kindness is stronger than force. It lasts longer, and it makes everyone happier. Even when dealing with enemies, especially then, Admiral Kim said, because the best way to defeat an enemy is to turn them into a friend. Vorthak looked at her for a long time. You truly believe that? I do. And I think you're beginning to believe it too. As the aliens prepared to return to their ship that night, Chef Nari Choi gave them containers of food to take with them. For the journey back to your fleet, she said, so you don't get hungry. Vorthak accepted the gift with all four hands. Thank you, he said quietly, for everything. You're welcome, Nari replied. Come back anytime you want. There's always room at our table for friends. War Commander Vorthak returned to his flagship confused and angry. His officers followed him to the command center, all of them quiet and thoughtful. This is not how conquest works, Vorthak said to his fleet commanders on the communication screen. They should be afraid. They should be begging for their lives. What are your orders, War Commander? Asked the captain of the destroyer ship Darkbringer. Vorthak paused. In normal conquest, the orders would be simple. Destroy the orbital stations, attack the cities, force surrender through fear and violence. But these humans had fed him breakfast and asked about his childhood. We need to see their real military, he said finally. This space station might be a trick to make us think they are weak. We will go to their planet's surface and see their true defenses. The next morning, Admiral Hana Kim received another message from Vorthak. Human Admiral, his voice rumbled over the communication system. We demand to see your real military installations, your planet's true defenses. We know you are hiding your weapons from us. Of course, Admiral Kim replied cheerfully. Director J. Nam will be happy to show you around Earth. Where would you like to start? Start? Vorthak was confused again. You choose where to start when showing us your military secrets? They're not really secrets if we're showing them to you, Admiral Kim pointed out. But Director Nam knows Earth's defenses better than anyone. I think you'll find the tour very educational. 2 hours later, Vorthak and his officers landed in a shuttle at the Seoul Diplomatic Center. Director J. Nam waited for them with a small group of humans in clean uniforms. Welcome to Earth, Director Nam said with a bow. I'm honored to show you our beautiful planet. The aliens climbed out of their shuttle and looked around. They were in a large courtyard surrounded by gardens. Tall buildings rose in the distance, but they were covered with plants and looked more like vertical forests than military installations. Where are your defensive walls? Sub-Commander Grachthan asked. Your weapon towers? We don't have those anymore, Director Nam said. We found they weren't very welcoming to visitors. This way, please. He led them through the city. The streets were clean and full of people. Children played in parks while their parents watched and smiled. Old people sat on benches feeding birds. Street vendors sold food and crafts from colorful stalls. These people know we are here, one of Vorthak's officers said quietly. They know we could destroy their city, but they act normal. Why wouldn't they act normal? Director Nam asked. You're just visiting." They walked past a food stall, where an old woman was cooking something that smelled amazing. When she saw the aliens, she smiled and waved. "Would you like to try some?" she called out in accented English. "It's very good." Before anyone could stop her, she handed Vorthak a small sample of her food. It was delicious. "Thank you," Vorthak said, surprised by his own politeness. "You're welcome," the old woman said. "Come back any time." Director Nam led them to a large building in the center of the city. "This is our defense ministry," he said. "Dr. Yubaek will explain how human defense works." Dr. Yubaek was an older man with white hair and kind eyes. His office was filled with books and had a beautiful view of the city. "Welcome," he said. "I understand you want to know about human military power." "Yes," Vorthak said. "We want to see your weapons, your armies, your ability to fight." Dr. Beck smiled. "I'd be happy to tell you about human warfare. We've been fighting wars for thousands of years. We got very good at it." He showed them pictures and videos on a large screen, ancient battles with swords and shields, more recent wars with guns and tanks and aircraft, space battles between human colonies. "We learned to build terrible weapons," Dr. Beck said. "Bombs that could destroy entire cities, poisons that could kill millions. We became very, very good at hurting each other." "And then?" Vorthak asked, sensing there was more. "And then we realized something important," Dr. Bayek continued. "The strongest warriors weren't the ones who won fights. They were the ones who didn't have to fight at all." He showed them new pictures, humans working together to build cities, scientists from different countries sharing discoveries, doctors treating patients regardless of where they came from. "Our greatest victory wasn't defeating an enemy," Dr. Beck said. "It was convincing our enemies to become our friends." "That is not how warfare works," Subcommander Grakthan protested. "It is now," Dr. Bayek replied gently. "Would you like to see our current military installations?" He took them to what he called a research facility. It was a huge building full of laboratories and workshops. Scientists and engineers worked on projects that made Vorthak's head spin. Professor High Moon showed them around her lab. She was working on something she called terraforming technology. "We use this to make dead planets livable," she explained. "We can create atmospheres, plant forests, build oceans. Instead of taking worlds from other people, we make new worlds for everyone." In the next lab, researchers were working on medical equipment that could heal injuries in minutes and cure diseases that had killed humans for centuries. "These are your weapons?" Vorthak asked. "Yes," Professor High Moon said. "We fight disease, death, and suffering. We fight loneliness and despair. We fight the idea that people have to hurt each other to survive." "But what if someone attacks you?" an alien officer asked. "What if someone comes to conquer Earth?" Professor High Moon smiled. "Like you did?" The alien officer looked embarrassed. "We defend ourselves when we have to," Professor High Moon continued. "But we prefer to make friends. It's much more pleasant for everyone." That afternoon, Director Nam took them to a military base outside the city. Vorthak expected to see soldiers training for battle. Instead, he found people learning to build hospitals and schools. "These are our soldiers," Director Nam explained. "They go to other planets and help build communities. They teach farming and medicine and engineering. They protect people from disasters and diseases." "They don't train for combat?" Subcommander Grakthan asked. "They do," said Colonel Park, the base commander. "But they hope they never have to use that training. Their real job is to help, not hurt." Vorthak watched human soldiers teaching alien refugees how to grow food in Earth's soil. Other soldiers were building homes for families who had escaped wars on distant planets. These people came to us for help, Colonel Park explained. Their homeworlds were destroyed by people like you used to be. We gave them a place to live and a chance to start over. You help your enemies? Vorthak asked. We help people who need help, Colonel Park said. That's what good neighbors do. That evening, Director Nam took them to a memorial park. It was a quiet place with gardens and fountains and statues. This is where we remember the wars we used to fight, he said. All the people who died because we thought violence was the only solution. They walked among the memorials. Each one told the story of a war, but focused on the people who had suffered, not the victories won. We built these to remind us, Director Nam said, that war is not glorious, it's tragic, and it's usually unnecessary. Vorthak stopped at one memorial. It showed children from different countries playing together. What does this represent? He asked. The end of the last war on Earth, Director Nam replied. When we finally learned that children should play together, not fight each other. As night fell, they sat in a garden overlooking the city. Lights twinkled below them like stars. Music drifted from restaurants and theaters. People walked hand in hand through the streets. This is what we defend, Director Nam said quietly. Not territory or resources or power. We defend the right of people to live peaceful, happy lives. But surely you have weapons, Vorthak said. Real weapons in case diplomacy fails. Oh yes, Director Nam admitted. We have weapons, very powerful ones, but we keep them hidden and hope we never have to use them. Why hidden? Because weapons make people afraid. And afraid people make bad decisions. We'd rather people see our gardens and schools and hospitals. Those things make people hopeful, and hopeful people make good decisions. Vorthak was quiet for a long time, looking out at the peaceful city. You could conquer the galaxy with weapons, like ours, he said finally. We could, Director Nam agreed. But why would we want to? We already have everything we need right here. Power, Sub-Commander Gracthan said. Resources. Control. We have power, Director Nam replied. The power to heal and build and create. We have resources, enough to share with anyone who needs them. And we have control over our own lives. What more could we want? To be feared, Vorthak said quietly. Why? Director Nam asked. It's much nicer to be loved. As the aliens prepared to return to their ships, they were quiet and thoughtful. The humans had shown them exactly what they asked to see: Earth's defenses, Earth's military, Earth's weapons. But everything was different from what they expected. Commander, one officer said as they walked to their shuttle, I think we may have made a mistake coming here. What do you mean? Vorthak asked. I mean, the officer said carefully, maybe we're the ones who need to be conquered. War Commander Vorthak paced back and forth on his flagship's bridge. He had been thinking for 3 days since returning from Earth's surface. His officers watched him nervously. This is psychological warfare, he announced finally. It has to be. No species is this kind without an ulterior motive. What are your orders, Commander? Sub-Commander Gracthan asked. We test them, Vorthak said. We force them to show their true nature. If they are really as peaceful as they claim, they will not defend themselves properly. Then we will see what they are truly made of. He turned to his weapons officer. Target their orbital defense platforms. Prepare to attack. All of them, sir? No. Start with the outer platforms. Make it look like a probing attack. I want to see how they respond. The hegemony fleet moved into attack formation. Vorthak's ships spread out around Earth's orbital defenses. On the human space station, alarms began to sound. Admiral Hana Kim walked calmly to her command center. "Status report," she said. 15. Alien ships are approaching our outer defense platforms, Captain Tae-Shin reported. They've powered up their weapons. "I see," Admiral Kim said. She activated the communication system. "War Commander Vorthak, this is Admiral Kim. Is there a problem? You seem to be pointing your weapons at our defense stations." Vorthak's face appeared on the screen. "This is a test, human. We will attack your defenses. Show us how you really fight." "Ah," Admiral Kim said. "You want to see our military in action. I understand. Gyul, are you ready?" Commander Gyul Ro, head of the defense grid, nodded. "Ready, Admiral." "Very well. Vorthak, we accept your test. But please understand, we don't fight the way you might expect." The first alien ship fired on Defense Platform 7. The energy beam struck the platform's shields and absorbed harmlessly. "Return fire," Vorthak ordered. But instead of weapons fire coming from the platform, something else happened. A beam of soft blue light surrounded the alien ship. The ship's engines stopped working. Its weapons shut down. Its communication systems went quiet. "What did you do to my ship?" Vorthak demanded. "We disabled it safely," Commander Gyul Ro explained over the communication channel. "Your crew is unharmed, but their ship can't fight anymore. We call it the Sleepy Beam. It puts aggressive technology to sleep without hurting anyone." "That's impossible." "It's actually quite clever," Commander Gyul Ro said proudly. "We figured out how to send electromagnetic pulses that shut down weapons and engines but leave life support systems working perfectly." More alien ships attacked. The human defense grid responded the same way each time. Blue beams reached out and gently disabled the attacking ships. Within an hour, 15 hegemony warships were floating peacefully in space, unable to fight, but completely safe. "This is not how space combat works," Vorthak roared. "It is now," Admiral Kim replied calmly. "Captain Jun Bok, please begin rescue operations." "Rescue operations?" Vorthak asked. Captain Jun Bok's voice came over the communication system. "We're sending ships to help your disabled vessels. Some of your crew members might be scared or confused. We want to make sure everyone is okay." Small human ships approached. The disabled alien vessels. Instead of boarding parties with weapons, they carried medical teams and engineers. "This is Captain Jun Bok of the rescue ship Helping Hand," came a cheerful voice over the alien ship communication systems. "We're here to help. Is anyone hurt? Do you need food or water? We can fix your life support if it's not working properly." Vorthak watched in amazement as human rescue teams boarded his ships. They brought medical supplies and food. They helped repair systems that had been damaged. They treated alien crew members who had been injured in the brief battle. Dr. Ara Seo led the medical teams. She moved from ship to ship, checking on alien crew members who were frightened and confused. "It's okay," she told them in their own language. "You're safe now. Are you hurt anywhere? We have medicine that will help." The aliens stared at her. They had been attacking these humans minutes before, and now a human doctor was taking care of their injuries. "Why?" one alien soldier asked her. "Why are you helping us?" "Because you need help," Dr. Seo replied simply. "That's what doctors do." On his flagship, Vorthak watched his disabled ships being cared for by the humans they had just attacked. "This," is wrong, he said to Sub-Commander Gracthan. They should be taking prisoners. They should be interrogating us or executing us. Instead, they're bringing us soup, Gracthan replied, holding up a container of food that had been delivered to their bridge. It's actually very good soup. Captain Junbok's voice came over the communication system again. War Commander Vorthak, we finished helping your crew members. Everyone is healthy and safe. We're ready to return them to you whenever you'd like. You're giving them back? Vorthak asked. Of course. They're your people. We just wanted to make sure they were okay after the battle, but they attacked you. Yes, but they were just following orders, Captain Junbok said kindly. We don't hold that against them. Would you like us to repair your ships too? We have some excellent engineers. Vorthak's head was spinning. You want to repair our ships? The ships that just attacked you? Well, you can't get home if your ships don't work. Captain Junbok pointed out. That would be terrible customer service. Customer service? You're our guests. Admiral Kim's voice joined the conversation. We want to make sure you have everything you need. Within a few hours, human engineering teams had repaired all the disabled alien ships. They worked alongside alien crew members, sharing tools and techniques, and making polite conversation. Engineer Wu Jiang worked on the weapon systems of the destroyer Darkbringer. The alien weapons officer watched him work. You are fixing the weapons we used to attack you, the alien observed. Yes, Engineer Wu Jiang said cheerfully. These are really well-designed energy cannons, very efficient. Who made them? The Hegemony shipyards on Corlex Prime. Impressive work. But I noticed they overheat if you fire them too quickly. Would you like me to install some better cooling systems? The alien weapons officer stared at him. You want to improve our weapons? Sure, everyone deserves good tools. Besides, better cooling systems mean less chance of accidents that could hurt your crew. By evening, all the alien ships were repaired and fully operational. The human rescue teams returned to their own ships, waving goodbye to the alien crew members they had helped. Vorthak sat in his command chair, staring at the reports. His ships had attacked the humans. The humans had disabled them without causing any casualties. Then they had rescued his crew, treated their injuries, fed them, and repaired their ships. Commander, Sub-Commander Gracthan said quietly, what do we do now? I don't know, Vorthak admitted. In all my years of conquest, nothing like this has ever happened. Admiral Kim's face appeared on the communication screen. How is everyone feeling? We hope the rescue operations went smoothly. You repaired our weapons, Vorthak said. Of course. We couldn't send you home with broken ships. But we used those weapons to attack you. Yes, and now you know they don't work against our defenses, Admiral Kim said with a smile. So if you attack us again, you'll just end up getting more free repairs and medical care. It seems inefficient. You're not afraid we'll attack again? We'd prefer you didn't, Admiral Kim said. It's stressful for everyone, and our medical teams are getting tired. But if you need to attack us to figure out that we're not your enemies, we understand. Vorthak looked at his officers. They all looked as confused as he felt. What do you want from us? He asked finally. We want you to be happy, Admiral Kim said. We want you to have good food and comfortable places to sleep and friends to talk to. We want you to feel safe and cared for. But why? Because that's what we want for everyone. That night, Vorthak stood alone on his ship's observation deck, looking out at Earth. The planet glowed peacefully below him, covered with lights from Cities full of people who had fed his crew and repaired his ships after he attacked them. Sub-Commander Gracthen joined him. "Commander," he said quietly, "I think we may have found something more powerful than our weapons." "What's that?" Vorthak asked. "Kindness," Gracthen replied. "They defeated us without firing a shot. They turned our own crews into people who want to protect them instead of conquer them." Vorthak nodded slowly. "The most dangerous enemy is one you cannot bring yourself to hurt." "Yes. And they've made it impossible for us to hurt them, because they've shown us they care about us." Vorthak was quiet for a long time. "Send a message to the fleet," he said finally. "Stand down from attack positions. We need to think about this." "What will you tell the Hegemony High Command?" Vorthak looked back at the peaceful planet below. "I don't know yet," he said. "But I'm beginning to think we may have been doing this all wrong." War Commander Vorthak requested a private meeting with Admiral Hana Kim. He came alone to her office on the space station, leaving his guards behind. This was something he had never done before. Admiral Kim's office was comfortable and quiet. The walls were covered with pictures of Earth and its people. Books filled the shelves. A small plant grew in a pot near the window. "Please, sit down," Admiral Kim said, gesturing to a comfortable chair. "Would you like some tea?" Vorthak sat down carefully. The chair was built for humans, but it was surprisingly comfortable even for his large frame. "You know what I am going to ask," he said. "I have an idea," Admiral Kim replied, pouring 2 cups of tea. "But I'd like to hear it from you." Vorthak accepted the tea. It smelled like flowers and tasted like sunshine. "What do you want from us?" he asked. "What is your game? What is your trap?" Admiral Kim sipped her tea and looked out the window at Earth turning slowly below. "There is no game," she said finally. "There is no trap." "That's impossible. No species acts like this without a reason." "We have a reason," Admiral Kim said. "We want to be your friends." "Friends?" Vorthak's voice was sharp. "Friendship is not a military strategy, isn't it?" Admiral Kim asked. "You came here with 300 warships to conquer us. Now half your fleet is asking permission to stay and learn about human culture. Your own officers are more interested in our cooking recipes than our defense systems. How is that not a military victory?" Vorthak set down his teacup and stared at her. "You planned this." "We prepared for it," Admiral Kim admitted. "We've been watching galactic communications for 50 years. We knew about the hegemony. We knew about your conquest methods. We knew you would come here eventually." "And you did nothing to stop us?" "We did something better," Admiral Kim said. "We got ready to welcome you." She walked to her desk and picked up a tablet. "Intelligence Officer Bo Kwan, please join us." Few minutes later, a quiet woman with sharp eyes entered the office. She carried several data tablets and looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Commander Vorthak," Admiral Kim said. "Meet Intelligence Officer Bo Kwan. She's been studying the hegemony for 20 years. Officer Bo Kwan bowed politely. "It's an honor to meet you, Commander. I've read all your military reports." "You've read my reports?" Vorthak was shocked. "We intercept hegemony communications," Bo Kwan explained. "We know about your campaigns on Zerion and Talavar. We know about the siege of the Crimson Nebula. We know about your childhood on Korvax Prime and the garden with the night-blooming flowers." Vorthak stood up so quickly his chair fell over. "How could you possibly know about the garden?" "You mentioned it in your personal log 3 years ago," Bo Kwan said gently. You wrote that you missed it during the long campaign against the Zephyr Confederation. You've been reading my personal logs? We read everything, Admiral Kim said. We wanted to understand you, not just your military tactics, but who you are as a person. We know you have a daughter on Korvax Prime, Bo Kwan continued. Her name is Shala. She's studying bioengineering at the Hegemony Academy. She wants to design gardens that can grow on dead worlds. Vorthak sat down heavily. She told me about that in her last message. We know you send her pressed flowers from every world you visit, Bo Kwan said. She keeps them in a special album. How do you know all this? Because we wanted to know who you really are, Admiral Kim said. Not War Commander Vorthak of the Hegemony Fleet, but Vorthak, who loves gardens and misses his daughter and wishes he could go home. Vorthak was quiet for a long time. What else do you know? He asked finally. Bo Kwan consulted her tablet. We know the Hegemony conquered your world when you were 12 years old. We know they took the brightest children and trained them to be soldiers. We know you didn't choose this life. It was chosen for you. We know you've been fighting for 40 years, Admiral Kim added. We know you're tired. We know you want to see your daughter grow up and maybe have a garden of your own someday. We know, Bo Kwan said quietly, that you've never been asked what you want. You've only been told what you must do. Vorthak put his head in his hands. This is not how conquest is supposed to work. No, Admiral Kim agreed. It's how friendship works. But you could destroy us, Vorthak said. I've seen your technology. Your weapons are more advanced than ours. Your defenses are stronger. Your ships are faster. Why don't you just attack the Hegemony and free all the conquered worlds? Because that would make us just another conquering empire, Admiral Kim said. We'd be solving the problem of conquest by conquering. That doesn't make sense. So instead, you let us come here and try to make friends with us? Yes. Even though we might have killed millions of your people. You didn't, though, Admiral Kim pointed out. You had dinner with us instead. Vorthak looked up at her. What if we had attacked? What if we had refused your friendship? Admiral Kim and Bo Kwan exchanged a look. Show him, Admiral Kim said. Bo Kwan activated a wall screen. It showed a map of the solar system. Red dots indicated the positions of Hegemony ships. Blue dots showed human vessels. We had 600 ships waiting, Bo Kwan said. Hidden behind moons and asteroids and in stealth fields. We had weapons that could disable your entire fleet in minutes. 600 ships? Vorthak stared at the screen. We only detected 50. We're very good at hiding things when we want to, Admiral Kim said. But we hoped we wouldn't need to. You could have destroyed us easily. Yes, but that would have been terrible. Your crews would have died. Your families would have grieved. And we would have missed the chance to meet some very interesting people. Vorthak stood up and walked to the window. His fleet was visible in the distance, 300 ships that suddenly seemed very small and vulnerable. My commanders will never believe this, he said. Some will, Bo Kwan said. Sub-Commander Grakthan is already asking about immigrating to Earth. Officer Veltar has requested permission to study human agriculture. Science Officer Zenth wants to learn about our music. They want to stay? Many of your people do, Admiral Kim said. Not all of them. Some are loyal to the Hegemony and want to continue the conquest. But many are tired of fighting and would like to try something different. Like what? Like building things instead of destroying them. Like helping people instead of conquering them. Like having families and gardens and friends. Vorthak was quiet for a long time, looking out at his fleet and at the blue planet below. What happens now? He asked finally. That's up to you, Admiral Kim said. You can take your fleet and leave. You can report to the hegemony that Earth is too well defended to conquer. We won't stop you. Or you can stay and help us build something new. A different kind of galactic community. One based on cooperation instead of conquest. The hegemony will send more fleets, we know, and we'll welcome them the same way we welcomed you. They might not be as reasonable as I am. Then, we'll have to be extra nice to them, Admiral Kim said with a smile. Vorthak almost smiled back. You're serious about this, about changing the galaxy through kindness? Completely serious. It might take a long time, and it might not work with everyone, but we think it's worth trying. Why? Admiral Kim walked to her bookshelf and picked up a small photo. It showed a little girl playing in a garden full of flowers. This is my granddaughter, she said. Her name is Luna. She's 6 years old. She loves butterflies and ice cream and stories about brave heroes. She handed the photo to Vorthak. I want her to grow up in a galaxy where different species are friends, not enemies. Where children can play together instead of preparing for war. Where people like your daughter Shala can design gardens on 1,000 worlds and fill them with flowers from across the galaxy. Vorthak looked at the photo for a long time. She looks happy, he said finally. She is, and I'd like your daughter to be happy too. Vorthak handed back the photo and walked to the door. He paused with his hand on the handle. Admiral Kim? Yes? Thank you for the tea, and for seeing more in me than just a weapon of conquest. Thank you for having dinner with us instead of destroying us, Admiral Kim replied. It's been one of the most interesting weeks of my life. As Vorthak left the office, he was already thinking about the message he would send to his daughter. For the first time in many years, it would not be a brief military report. It would be a father telling his child about the strange and wonderful humans he had met, and the possibility that maybe, just maybe, there was a better way to live in the galaxy. War Commander Vorthak returned to his flagship with his mind full of thoughts he had never allowed himself to think before. His senior officers waited for him in the main conference room. Their faces showed confusion, curiosity, and something. That might have been hope. Report, Sub-Commander Grachthan said as Vorthak entered the room. Sit down, all of you, Vorthak said. We need to talk. The 12 officers took their seats around the metal table. These were creatures who had conquered worlds and destroyed civilizations. But now they looked like students waiting for their teacher to explain a difficult lesson. The humans have been monitoring our communications for 50 years, Vorthak began. They know everything about us, our military capabilities, our conquest methods, our personal histories. Everything. Science Officer Veltana leaned forward. Then why didn't they attack us first? Because they don't want to conquer us, Vorthak said. They want to be our friends. The room erupted in confused voices. Some officers laughed. Others looked shocked. A few seemed angry. Friends? Commander Drex slammed his fist on the table. Species don't become friends. Species either conquer or are conquered. That's what I thought too, Vorthak said quietly. But these humans are different. He told them everything about the hidden fleet of 600 ships that could have destroyed them easily, about the intelligence they had gathered on every hegemony officer, about their choice to welcome instead of attack. They could have killed us all in the first hour, he concluded. Instead, they gave us dinner and asked about our families. The room was silent for a long time. "What are your orders, Commander?" Sub-Commander Grachthan asked finally. "I don't know," Vorthak admitted. "For the first time in my military career, I don't know what to do." "We could attack with the full fleet," suggested Tactical Officer Corvin. "Overwhelm their defenses before they can use their disable weapons." "We tried that," Weapons Officer Thane reminded him. "They turned our own ships into rescue missions." "We could call for reinforcements from the hegemony," offered Communications Officer Zenth. "Bring in 1,000 ships, and watch them all get disabled and repaired by humans." "Who will then invite everyone to dinner?" Veltana asked. "I don't think that's the solution." Sub-Commander Grachthan stood up and walked to the large window that looked out at Earth. "I've been thinking," he said slowly, "about what the humans showed us, about the way they live." "What about it?" Vorthak asked. "They're happy," Grachthan said. "Really happy, not just satisfied or successful. Actually happy. When was the last time any of us were happy?" The officers looked at each other. It was not a question they were used to considering. "We have the honor of serving the hegemony," Commander Drex said automatically. "But are you happy?" Grachthan pressed. "Do you wake up excited about the day ahead? Do you look forward to seeing your friends? Do you have hobbies or interests that bring you joy?" The room was quiet. "I like growing crystals," Science Officer Veltana said suddenly. Everyone stared at her. "In my private laboratory. I grow beautiful crystals in different colors and shapes. It's not military research. It's just pretty. I write poetry," Communications Officer Zenth admitted. "Bad poetry about stars and distant worlds. I've never shown it to anyone." "I collect music from conquered worlds," said another officer. "I play it when I'm alone in my quarters." One by one, the officers shared secret interests and hidden dreams. Things they did when no one was watching. Things that had nothing to do with conquest or military service. "We all have these secret selves," Vorthak realized. "Parts of us that the hegemony doesn't use or recognize. The humans see those parts," Sub-Commander Grachthan said. "They ask about our gardens and our families and our dreams. They treat us like complete people, not just weapons. So what do we do?" "Tactical," Officer Corvin asked. "Do we abandon our duty to the hegemony?" Before anyone could answer, an alarm sounded. Communications Officer Zenth hurried to his station. "Commander," he said, "we're receiving a priority message from Hegemony Command." The main screen activated. Supreme Admiral Krex appeared, his dark form filling the display. His red eyes glowed with anger and impatience. "War Commander Vorthak," he growled, "you have been in the Sol system for 7 days. Why have you not reported the conquest of Earth?" "Supreme Admiral," Vorthak said carefully, "the situation here is complicated." "Complicated? You have 300 ships against a primitive world. What is complicated about that?" "The humans are not primitive," Vorthak said. "Their technology is more advanced than ours. Their defenses are stronger than we anticipated." "Then, why haven't you called for reinforcements?" Vorthak looked at his officers. Some nodded encouragingly. Others looked worried. "Because I don't think reinforcements will help," he said finally. Supreme Admiral Krex's eyes blazed brighter. "Explain." "The humans don't fight the way we expected," Vorthak said. "They disable our ships without harming our crews. Then they rescue us and repair our ships. They treat us with kindness and respect." "Kindness?" Supreme Admiral Krex's voice was dangerous. "Warriors do not need kindness. but people do, Vorthak said quietly. The screen was silent for a moment. When Supreme Admiral Krex spoke again, his voice was cold and sharp. War Commander Vorthak, you will attack Earth immediately with your full fleet. You will conquer that world or destroy it completely. If you refuse, I will send Fleet Admiral Morgax with 1,000 ships to finish the job and execute you for treason. The communication ended. The conference room was silent except for the hum of the ship's engines. Fleet Admiral Morgax, Science Officer Veltana whispered. He destroyed the entire Altair system when they refused to surrender. 1,000 ships, Tactical Officer Corvin said. Even if the humans can disable them, that's a lot of angry, confused aliens who will need food and medical care. The humans will help them all, Sub-Commander Gracthan said with certainty. They'll feed them and heal them and try to make friends with them too. Which means Morgax will call for even more ships, Vorthak realized. This could escalate until the entire hegemony fleet is here. Getting their ships repaired and eating human cooking, Gracthan added. Despite the seriousness of the situation, several officers smiled at that image. So what do we choose? Vorthak asked. Do we obey the Supreme Admiral and attack Earth? Do we return to the hegemony and face execution? Or do we do something that has never been done before in hegemony history? What's that? Communications Officer Zenth asked. We choose for ourselves what kind of people we want to be. On the human space station, tactical analyst Z Kang was monitoring hegemony communications. She hurried to Admiral Kim's office with a concerned expression. Admiral, she said, we intercepted a communication from Hegemony Command. They're threatening to send 1,000 ships if Vorthak doesn't attack us immediately. Admiral Kim looked up from the reports she was reading. I see. What's our fleet status? We can handle 1,000 ships, Z Kang said. But barely. And if they keep escalating, then we'll have to get creative, Admiral Kim said calmly. But I don't think it will come to that. Why not? Admiral Kim smiled. Because I think Vorthak is about to surprise everyone, including himself. Back on the Hegemony flagship, Vorthak stood before his officers. I'm going to ask each of you to make a choice, he said. Not as Hegemony officers, but as individuals. Do you want to attack Earth and try to conquer these people who have shown us kindness? One by one, his officers answered. No, said Sub-Commander Gracthan. I want to learn about their gardens. No, said Science Officer Veltana. I want to show them my crystals. No, said Communications Officer Zenth. I want to share my poetry with people who might understand it. Every officer chose the same thing. For the first time in their military careers, they chose peace over war. Then we're in agreement, Vorthak said. Signal the fleet. All ships are to stand down from attack positions. What will you tell the humans? Sub-Commander Gracthan asked. Vorthak walked to the communication console. The truth, he said. That we're tired of being weapons, and we'd like to try being people instead. As he opened the channel to the human station, Vorthak felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. He felt hope.